to wait for a certain period after their conviction or release from prison to demonstrate that they've been rehabilitated.
A year after the historic operation, a face transplant recipient says he's doing well. Here's an update from USA's Chris Barnes.
I don't really have any challenges now. The challenge was before the surgery, before the transplant. Every day I had to get up and, get myself motivated to face the world.
It was back in 2001 that Patrick Hardison was working as a volunteer firefighter in Mississippi when he was badly burned. Last year, plastic surgeons at NYU matched Hardison with a Brooklyn, New York man who died in a biking accident, and they transplanted his face from the scalp to the collarbone. A year later, doctors say the transplanted face shows no sign of rejection. Hardison says he's now driving, swimming, and living a normal life.
Biggest challenge in a day, I got 5 kids, so that's every day. It's a challenge.
For USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
USA Radio News, I'm Rod Williams-Stoll. Conservative...
We're here to fix the machine. Battlefield Live.
You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Killier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. I want to thank you for joining us on the battlefield today. And as usual, we have a ton of things to talk about tonight. And if you want to give me a call, you can call me 504-556-9696. And, I've been listening to Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump go back and forth at each other. And while it's entertaining, it's kind of disturbing. If you've all been listening to my show for quite some time, you know that I am not a huge Donald Trump fan, and I'm less of a Hillary Clinton fan. I don't even know if I'd put fan in the vocabulary when it comes to even thinking about Hillary Clinton and her crookedness. But I've had a lot of criticism about Donald Trump, and he is the lesser of two evils. And a lot of you may be going to the polls this year with the intentions of voting for the lesser of two evils. And I may do the same. I don't see any other better options out there. The libertarian candidate is crap. He is, no more libertarian than I don't know. He's got a couple good issues, but he's terrible. He's boring. His positions are all over the place, and it seems to me it's more of an intellectual position than actually trying to make a change in the country. So I'm not going to support him. But what I wanted to talk about today, been hearing a lot of things going back and forth, especially from Hillary Clinton. And we see what we always see from Democrats when they start to feel a little threatened. They pull out the race card. And you've probably heard me talk about racism on this program, but I'm going to dedicate this program tonight to racism. We're going to talk about it. And we're gonna break it down in a bunch of different ways. And I'm wanting to get some feedback from you all. So as we discuss all of this information, I'm hoping to hear from you and then chime in. Tell me what you think. 504-556-9696. If you want to reach out to me on social media, you can reach me at Twitter at Paul Revere again, or you can also tweet me at Lanterns Buzz. That is our radio network page. Also, Facebook.com/Lanterns Buzz. Or Facebook.com/Paul Revere again is my personal page. You can reach the podcast after the show. We are recording this show, and I do post this to lanterns.buzz, the website lanterns.buzz, in a podcast which comes from Spreaker. So Spreaker.com is a really awesome podcasting site. They got a really cool app that you can get, and if you are like me and you're always on the road and you do most of your media intake from your phone, that would be the place to go, Spreaker.com. So you can find the Lanterns Radio Network as well as the Battlefield Live radio show with me. And look, I'm going to tell you something, folks. I used to really just kind of figure out a station I wanted to listen to and get a radio and just put up the antenna and try to get good reception and all that stuff. And then I discovered podcasts. And what's great about podcasts is they're so convenient. And so I can listen to them whenever I want. I can start and stop them and pause them and whatever. And I can listen to a bunch of different stuff. So if you try to just listen to stuff on the radio, you're only going to get a little piece of it. And what's cool about it is I do like listening to terrestrial radio. I get the news, I get the traffic, all that good stuff. But there's always the problem where I'm busy and I can't listen to the radio. And my favorite show, I can't miss it. So I lean heavily on the podcast, which you can get at places like iTunes, a lot of other cool places like SoundCloud.com, Stitcher, Google Play, Player.fm, and YouTube. And that's where you can find us. So, all right, so let's jump in 2 feet first into this. So Hillary Clinton's coming out and talking about, Donald Trump, and he's got all these people that are following him that are racist and all this. And this is the same woman that went to a party back in like the 70s wearing blackface with her husband looking like a redneck, in his overalls with no shirt on. And, she was one that admired, one of the clan master wizards, whatever they call them, the grand poobah, freaking flag burning, cross burning, race hating, whatever they call them.
Racist honkies.
That's right. Robert Byrd, the late Robert Byrd, who was, he was like the leader of the entire Democratic Party. He was a grand wizard of the KKK, grand cyclops. I don't even know what they call it, Chris. Do you know what they call it? Is it the grand? I don't know, some kind of crazy
grand master.
Grand
wizard.
Something like that. Some kind of creepy Dungeons and Dragons sounding thing. So, she came out and admired him and campaigned for him and all. And here she is, giving Trump his criticism. Now, let me step back for a moment and say that some of the criticism is fair. Okay. It's kind of like what I don't agree with is the guilt by association, because there are a bunch of idiots that like Donald Trump that are racist, that are homophobic, that are xenophobic, if you call it. You basically don't like immigrants, hate the Jews. There's a whole bunch of people out there that follow Donald Trump that support him. And look, this is every candidate, because there's a bunch of racists that also support Hillary Clinton. If you look at, for the hardcore Black Lives Matter, hardcore, Black Panther Party, for the eugenicists out there, they're all racists. They're all racists. So to try to make, first of all, have a guilt by association as if Donald Trump has created these people is absurd. Now, has there been occasions where he could have come out and said something that would have actually distanced himself from this? Absolutely. Did he do it? Not the way he should have. So in some cases, the claims that, Donald Trump has got the dog whistle, right? As if they I never did understand the dog whistle thing. I guess they say things that really the general populace doesn't get, but then the racist groups get it. I guess that's the parallel they're trying to make. But nonetheless, I've written about, some of the concerns I've had with Donald Trump and this alt-right movement that is involved with Donald Trump. And I want to talk about that first, because we've talked about the democratic racism, progressivism, and eugenics and things like that, which we'll get into a little bit in the show today. But I want to start off with the alt-right, because many of you may have not have heard of the alt-right or know what the alt-right is, and I think that it's definitely important to talk about it. So let me kind of back up and explain how I came across this, because I'm one of these, philosophical cultural nerds. I study, culture. And if you listen to this program, you've heard me talk about things in detail. German existentialism, as Anthony always makes fun of me when it's like a drinking thing for him. It's like if I say German existentialism, it's all the millennials out there need to drink a shot of beer, because nobody talks about German existentialism. So he always makes fun of me. Anyway, the point is that I get fascinated by these mass movements, and I dissect them and try to figure out where they come from and the origins of their philosophy, and it just helps me understand, I guess you could say, the landscape politically in the country. And, I've had my thumb on the pulse or my fingers on the pulse of the Black Lives Movement for quite some time. The Occupy Wall Street movement, I dug into that a good bit. I was in the Tea Party movement, so I understand that. But I also understand some of the spinoffs, okay? So some of the one of the spinoffs is this alt-right movement, and they're very, very heavy into supporting Donald Trump. And I'm going to explain who they are and what they stand for when we get back from this short break. Make sure you give me a call at the studio, 504-556-9696 on the Battlefield Live radio program. We'll be right back after this break.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282, 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Thank you for sticking with us on the Battlefield. You tune into the Battlefield Live radio program with Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network. At Tom Heiter, I guess that's how you pronounce his name on Twitter, tweets me, he says, it's a machine only in a way that existentialists understand and approve. It is more like a beast that must be strangled. I like that. People throw out some good stuff out there on Twitter, folks. If you want to tweet me, you can tweet me at Paul Revere again. Actually, Tom Heiter, I guess that's how you pronounce it. He tweeted me at Lanterns Buzz. At WizKids, Todd Doyle says, "You're awesome, Lanterns Buzz." I appreciate that. That's really nice of you. And let's see here at Paul Revere again. This is the type of government interference that we expect from Democrats. He should be ashamed of himself. And, of course, that is in reference to an article that I wrote on a Republican senator or a state representative down here in Louisiana by the name of what's his name, Jonathan Perry, that proposed regulation for groups like the Cajun Navy. So he was responding to that. All right, so I want to jump right into the alt-right. So let me explain the alt-right movement. First and foremost, we must understand what right means in this alt-right. Okay, in America, the far right is the farthest right, I should say, politically, is zero government. In other words, it's anarchy. Okay, so people that are on the far right spectrum in the United States would be in line with an anarchist. And then from going towards the left, you would have like a libertarian, and then further left from that, you'd be a, conservative, maybe constitutional conservative. Further from that, you'd be more of a moderate, GOP establishment type, and then you go a little further and you get like a moderate Democrat, and then you go to a socialist, right? And that socialist may be a fascist, or it may be a communist. Progressive is another word for it. So that's the political spectrum here in the United States. Well, in Europe, it's different because their system of government is different. Our system of government, like I explained on many different programs, is that our government was designed by or empowered and developed by the people, where the government was intended to protect the rights of the people. Now, that's the sole purpose of our government, is to protect the rights of the people. Governments in Europe actually provide rights to the people. So in that case, there's only the right and the left paradigm, the political paradigm, the right wing and the left wing, if you will. They're completely different in Europe, and we've seen it at its extremes. Specifically in the early 20th century, we saw the rise of fascism, and we saw the rise of communism and how they conflicted. In fact, much of what we have as far as progressivism here in the United States is due to a lot of that conflict. The Frankfurt Marxists, if you will, they came to the United States in the early 20th century. Some of them actually went and worked in government, like Herbert Marcuse and others. We wrote about that in our book, Deus Ex Machina, The Progression of Secular Socialism. And so the point is that the political left and the political right in Europe are different. The left is, more of the communist, and the right is the fascist, or the corporate overlords, or the oligarchy controls the economy. The left would be the communist, where the government controls the economy. And that's all encompassing is socialism. So the entire government paradigm, left and right in Europe, for the most part, is socialist. So when we hear people in the United States talk about the far right being like fascists, they're not looking at the country in the proper paradigm. They're looking at it from a European perspective. And in some cases, our GOP or Republican Party is fascist in nature. I'm not talking about the people that drag people to the ovens. I'm not talking about that kind of fascist. I'm talking about where they are heavily influenced by lobbying, big corporations and things like that, and they're not representing the people, but yet they're colluding with big, large corporations in order to be able to provide rights to the people, and that's where the problem comes in. So this alt-right movement is actually not an American right movement. It's a European right movement, and it's very loosely knit, and it's actually, to me, the way I see it, the way it's come about, is somewhat like the Tea Party came about. Now, the Tea Party was an American right movement. It was about embracing the Constitution. It was about, limited government, fiscal responsibility for the most part. There was factions of it that were, social conservatism and things of that nature. The alt-right is not that. Now, that doesn't mean that we didn't see people that were, representative of the alt-right in the Tea Party movement. In fact, I do remember at the very, very early stages when we were in the GNOTP, there was people that were affiliated with David Duke that we kind of chased out of the group. We found out who they were affiliated with, and we didn't want to be, accompanied with people from that group, and we basically pushed them out of the group is what we did. And that's the right thing to do because it was about the Constitution. We don't want to get hung up in all of that nonsense that that David Duke was involved with. So one of those things about the alt movement, it's peculiar because it has been branded by its patrons as a new movement, while it's has all the facets of something that has been seen before, and it has been fashioned as like a reaction to the political progressive left's creation of labels and barriers by the means of political correctness. So it's a reaction. The Tea Party was also somewhat of a reaction, but it was trying to put the country back on the right course. It wasn't an aggressive, reactive, nihilistic type of movement like the alt-right seems to be, okay? And, one of the things that, in trying to understand this is I try to dig into the philosophies of it. Well, progressivism utilizes what you would say the means to an end, right? If you've heard us talk about Saul Alinsky on this program, we've chronicled a large amount of information in our book, Deus Ex Machina, about how the means to get somewhere doesn't matter. It's the ends that matter. So progressives, will do immoral things. They'll hijack movements that, like the environmentalist movement, or they'll hijack, the civil rights movements, the pro-immigrant movements. They'll do anything they possibly can in order to be able to get their ends, which is socialist reform in the country, or socialist, any type of socialist goals, or even communism to that respect. So you see groups like La Raza. If you ever heard of a group called La Raza, they're like a pro-immigrant group that is Marxist in nature, and of course all the pro-immigrant folks, they support La Raza without even knowing really what La Raza means. Just the word itself means the race. It's racist by just the name of it, right? So the alt-right has gotten sick of this political correctness. They got sick of being called racist. They got sick of people, bashing, the Caucasian or European descent crowd, right? The what am I thinking about? It's anybody with European descent, what most people would call white people, right? And while I can kind of relate to that, my reaction is not to shove it back in their face and try to be more, repulsive or racist. And what the alt-right has done is they said, well, if they can do it, we can. You'll hear things like, well, they have black entertainment television, and we need to have white entertainment television. Well, that doesn't solve anything at all. Just because black entertainment television exists and it comes across as a racist type of situation there, doesn't mean that we need to create a white entertainment television. It doesn't help anything. In fact, most people won't get it, right? I understand the reaction, but it's not going to solve anything. So we're going to talk a little bit more about this, folks, and we're going to unveil this, the claims that Hillary Clinton's making about Donald Trump and the alt-right, and there's some validity to some of the concerns. Obviously, it's all politics on her part, but we do need to recognize the problems that we have in our society, and some of that is racist in nature. Some of it is anti-immigrant in the country. Some of it's fascist. So we'll talk about that here on the Battlefield Live radio program. If you're interested, you want to talk to me, call me 504-556-9696. You're listening to Chris Puglia in the Battlefield Live radio program from Lanterns Radio Network, WGSO 990. I'll be back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
.com.
USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Stoll.
I am a farmer and white nationalist. Support Donald Trump.
Sending out all the illegals, building a wall, and a moratorium on Islamic immigration.
That is a new Hillary Clinton campaign ad portraying Donald Trump as the candidate of racists and neo-Nazis. It featured a robed man identified as a KKK leader. Meanwhile, Donald Trump says his Democratic rival has been using the racist tag for a long time.
It's a tired, disgusting argument, and it's so totally predictable. They're failing so badly.
Oh, don't worry if you see stretchers, ambulances, and helicopters outside the Pentagon today. The Defense Department is running a mass casualty exercise. This is USA Radio News.
Have you ever come home from work to find out that the power's out? You reach the power company and they inform you that it'll be out for another 8 hours. Panic sets in. You've been told to prepare for this before. Bottled water, radio, flashlight, easy to prepare meals. And for the next 8 hours, everyone is on edge. No AC, no TV, no hot dinner tonight. What will happen to your family if this same situation were to last 2 days, a week, or even a month? This is Colonel Rusty Humphreys to tell you about Heaven's Harvest. Heaven's Harvest has long-term storable food and water products that will ensure your family's well-being through any man-made or natural disaster. Don't wait for the power to go out. Go to heavensharvest.com and secure your family's well-being today. That's heavensharvest.com or call 800-516-4773. Again, 800-516-4773. Heavensharvest.com. Use promo RUSTY and receive free shipping. Heavensharvest.com. That's
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. So college campuses today are a politically correct mess. The State University of New York at Binghamton is now providing workshops and training on how to, quote, stop white people. The aim with supposed white privilege and white racism and white advantages. So instead of teaching students tolerance, we're teaching hate and envy. This is what is going on in our college campuses today. At Princeton, they've declared war on the word man. So freshmen, no longer politically correct. All gender-specific language will be eliminated. It's our new transgender politically correct world. At Vanderbilt University, they're going after the Confederate Memorial Hall and removing that name because it's, quote, offensive. And the beat goes on. I guess at some point after spending $70,000, maybe these parents will start demanding that their children receive a real education. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Thank you for joining me back on the battlefield. You're listening to Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live radio program. You can call me at 504-556-9696. We go straight to the phones. Got Anthony from Metairie. What's going on, Anthony?
Yeah, pal. I'm confused because I don't know what a definition of a racist is.
Okay. Well, racist is somebody that actually sees race, and when they not only do they see race, they believe that certain races are better than other people or better than other races. Does that make sense? I'm assuming that it's that your comment is facetious to some extent.
No, it isn't, because I'm an older gentleman than most of you. And when I was young, a racist was just a person that believed that a white race, there was a black race, there was a yellow race, there was a, so forth. And that's how you did. I didn't know what racist was back in those days. If you're following me.
Well, I'll follow you now. I mean, the definition of a racist is a person who believes that a particular race is superior to another.
Superior, yes. See, that's a relatively new definition for me. Yeah.
Okay.
I just always thought different races were different. If you follow, not one's better than the other, but it was a way to identify certain people.
So let me ask you this, Anthony, because that's an interesting point you're making there. And, obviously, and maybe you're a little older than I am. I don't necessarily – I've always known racism to be about the derogatory way of looking at people that are different than you.
Exactly.
So,
that was not the case when I was young. It was a way of identifying different people.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So the question of race is always fascinated me because I've always wanted to know how race is defined. So let me ask you this. Do you believe that race is a scientific type of definition, or is it just a visual, a visual application or a visual marker, if you will? Does that make sense?
Well, let me back up a little bit for you. I do believe different races are different.
Okay.
Does that make me a racist?
No. But then again, I would back up and say, well, how do you determine what race is what race? In other words, what race are you?
I'm a white race.
Okay, so what makes you white? And these I got to point to all these questions, so bear with me. So what makes you a white of the white race or the Caucasian race? What would you say?
Probably birth.
So is it if
you were from a European country, say, and your skin happened to be light, you'd probably be considered a Caucasian. If you were from an Asian country and you had yellow skin, you'd probably be considered, as I said, we used to call them, you have to excuse me, I'm a little slow tonight.
Oh, that's okay, that's okay. I'm with you.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, so now let's kind of break down.
I never thought of it as bad or good or bad.
Right. So let's break this down, and I'm fascinated with the language because to me the language is so important. It goes throughout obviously all of our conversations and communication, but not only that, but laws utilize the language in order to be able to tell us how to operate in society or guide us or whatever or whatever social construct that we put together. And race is a social construct, and it's basically it formulates a group of people. Now, this is where I'm getting to, Anthony, because to me, I have never found scientific evidence of race. In other words, I could stand next to one of my black friends, which is really not black; he's brown. Right. And I'm just a lighter brown. And I would stand next to him and I would say, what is it that makes you different than me? And then all we could come up with, even if you went to the science of it, would be the fact that his skin was darker than mine. There's certain characteristics of what we call African Americans, which I would rather call American blacks, that, like medically, there's things that are different with them. But still, all in all, there isn't any scientific marker or genetic marker that determines a race of an individual. Does that make sense?
Yes and no, because if you go to, say, Ancestry.com, and they take a sample of the inner portion of your mouth, they can tell you what percentage of African you might be, what percentage Asian you might be. So there must be something in your DNA that identifies you as a race.
Well, I think if you're looking at, your lineage and where you came from, and look, I'm not a scientist by any means. So this is just things that I've read, and I'm curious. And Anthony, I want to thank you for your call.
Wait,
you're bringing
don't go away.
All right, what you got? I
got one other thing.
One other thing. Okay, go ahead.
Let's go with. I'm going to politics now. This is not really what I want. Clinton is saying that. See, I'll go again. Anyway, the other guys are racist, but over 90% of black people back her.
Right.
Am I right about that? So would that make her more of a racist because she has a larger percentage of a race that backs her than?
I don't know that it makes her a racist per se. I just think that she along with the Democrats, have been able to garner the votes of black Americans through certain policies.
But because they have such a large percentage of black people backing them, I would think that would be more racist than Trump, who has just a few black people. It sounds backwards to me, in other words.
Yeah. Well, that you definitely make an interesting point there, and I'll expand on that, Anthony, so I appreciate your call.
Okay.
So folks, Anthony's point, first let me back up to the whole race thing. I don't know of anything, and I would love for someone of you to either tweet me a link or something to that effect that actually explains scientifically how we are different as far as race is concerned. If I can look back at my lineage and I can find the fact that I've actually gone all the way back to, France, 1620, and that doesn't determine what race I am. It tells me where my family came from, and it probably has some facts, that will back up why my skin is lighter than, say, somebody that came from, Uganda or something. The bottom line is that race has been created in order to be able to separate people. And this is not unique to the United States. It's not unique to Europe. This is something that goes on all around the world, and it's because that people look at other people and they try to find differences. And it's our nature to do that. We want to be able to be unique. We want to be able to look at ourselves unique, and we look for differences in others. And most people embrace differences in others, and some don't. So you said I got another caller, Chris? Blaze in the Broadmoor, what's going on?
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. We're going to talk about race.
Absolutely. What you got?
All right. There are 4 races. I had a hard time until my wife went to the internet and figured out what the 4th race was. Can you name the 4 races?
I don't know of any races, but go ahead. Explain what you got.
Caucasoid, Negroid, Mongoloid, and the one I couldn't come up with because it was isolated, Australoid. You have people in Australia, natives of Australia and New Zealand that were a distinct, apparently, race.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to confess that I am a racist, but I don't find the Caucasoids at the top of the pile. I find the Mongoloids at the top of the pile, and I think that's what we're looking at in the 21st century.
Hey, Blaze, do all the Mongoloids and Australs, do they all come from one source, or were they individually bred? Because it seems like if they even if there are 4 different races, do they start at a similar point if you go further back in the evolutionary strand of humanity?
Right. Good question. I don't know how to answer that. I'm old.
So when you all right, so let me ask you this.
I would like to put a word out into the into the radio network here. I'm getting a Sammy check. Does that make any sense to you?
No.
Okay, I'm 62 and I'm getting my Social Security. Uncle Sam is writing me a check every month.
Right.
So that's my Sammy check.
Okay, so I'm curious about your comment that you said that you are a racist. I'm assuming that that you're alluding to something outside of the fact that you hate.
I've looked at the races and I've ranked them, and I don't find myself as a Caucasoid, a Hungarian American, on top. You know, is that weird or a problem, or is it just I'm too intellectual?
No, that's the definition of racism. You believe one race is superior to another. That is
and that's fine, and you're welcome to believe whatever you believe.
I believe that the Mongoloids are going to eat our lunch in the 21st century. They may even defeat us in a all-out World War III.
All right, look, I got to go to break. I appreciate you call back. So stick with us, folks. We'll be on the battlefield right after this short break, and we'll kind of dig into that one. Right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Thank you for sticking with us on the battlefield, folks. If you haven't followed us on Facebook, we are live, video live on Facebook, facebook.com/lanternsbuzz. And I want to say hi to, looks like Faith's watching. Hey, what's up, Faith? Got some people out there keeping an eye out. If y'all want to chat me, I'll mention your name on the radio. Make you a star. All right, so check this out. First and foremost, I understand where our last callers was coming from, and I never knew what a mongoloid was. And I used to play this basketball game when I was younger called Mongoloid, and I guess I don't know where it came from, but okay. But just doing a little bit of basic research, and I'm not an expert by any means on what would be called a Mongoloid or an Australoid or a Polynesian or Negroes is one. I mean, it is what it is. It's what it shows in here. It basically it's a facial feature or a figure. So it's more of an appearance thing, the way people look. And I'm still looking for a scientific explanation, because obviously every individual for the most part looks different than other individuals. So there's no fine line between what makes you a black or a white or an Asian or whatever the groups of people that we like to class people in. If you go to the federal government and you look in the I think it's under the Labor Relations Board or something definitions, you'll get something like non-Hispanic Asians and stuff like that. All these weird, very class-oriented descriptions. So let's go to Tony. What's going on, Tony? How you doing out there, buddy?
Hey, hi there, Chris. Chris, I'm not a Twitter or a Facebook person or all of that kind of stuff like that. Do you use email?
Absolutely. lanterns.buzz@gmail.com is how you can reach me.
Okay, lanterns.buzz@gmail.com. Okay, I got stuff that I could send you, but I wanted to you were talking about something. I dug into this many moons ago, what you're talking about now. One of the things here, you can use this. First, the definition of race, according to the United Nations, is a group of people of common ancestry distinguished by others by physical characteristics such as hair type, color, eyes, or skin. Now, let me read you what it says. The United Nations defines racism as any distinction, exclusion, restriction, or preference based on race, color, descent, national or ethnic origin, which has the purpose or the effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment, or exercise on an equal footing of human rights and fundamental freedoms in the political, economic, social, cultural, or any other field of public life. That's in Part 1 of Article 1 of the UN International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination. And there's a ton of things, But you know what? Most racism, that when people flip-flop with each other in racism, this is what I've come to find. What most people really don't have today, and I know a lot of this gets thrown out at white people, that they don't like somebody because of the color of their skin. And I'm going to tell you, 99% of most of the people I meet, they don't like somebody because of their culture. This is the difference, defining what another person does in their culture. So what happens is in culture is defined by the conduct, by the way someone behaves, or the way that they choose to do an activity. We all discriminate, we all choose, we all segregate. When I walk in the grocery store and I choose apples and not oranges, should the oranges file a lawsuit against me? Because I discriminated and I didn't pick them? Or should the Washington apples not tell the Jonathan apples, hey, wait a minute, you bigoted, you're racist, you're discriminating, you're selecting. We all do this kind of stuff. The problem is if I do something based on color, that's a whole different situation and stuff. And I think that this is where the understanding is, that when I don't like something that another race does in a practice, their cultural or ethnic practices, that I consider something that's offensive or I dislike or it's moral, I don't care where it comes from in their heritage, that in a secular society, I have the right to enjoy my life, liberty, and happiness without having someone impose their culture and want me to associate with them. I don't have to like them. They could be, I don't care how bad or good they are. They might be good people, and I may just not, they may have a a hobby of something. I don't like that hobby. They might be gamblers. They might be whatever. I don't know. We all do this. I'm just trying to bring this up.
And I agree with you 100%. Okay, so when as an employer, when you hire someone, you determine which is going to be the best person for the job. So you do a form of discrimination in order to be able to find somebody that's going to fit the model. What the left has done and progressives have done is they've actually grafted their racial. It's actually called critical race theory, where they look at everything through the prism of race. They do this in order to be able to destroy choice, in order to be able to destroy the free market system. So what they do is they graft their own or project their own prejudices and their own definitions of roles, stereotypes, and preconceived categories or labels, and they project that onto a person that's trying to find the best person for the job. So as an employer, if you're out there looking for somebody and you find two people that are identical in character, there are two people that are identical in their abilities, and you decide to pick the one that's white instead of the one that's black, you're automatically determined to be a racist based on this system. In fact, there are some cases, even in colleges, where college admittance, they have to admit a certain amount of certain people of certain races in order to be able to meet these certain categories. And the intention of this is to disrupt the decision-making of free-thinking people and to make us get into these boxes. It's the political correctness. And that is in which, so what you're saying is absolutely right. And
what ends up happening also, Chris, is because of that, if you're an employer or whatever, you end up having to be forced by the government to sometimes hire excessively incompetent people.
That's exactly right.
And they come in and they end up being agitators and troublemaker. Then they really start to affect your business. Then your good workers want to leave and quit. And I can tell you dozens of people right now. I got people I know who are managers and supervisors in government departments here, and the workers that have been brought in pushed up the scale just because of political correctness in the numbers and the schemes and stuff. And you got one guy can do what 10 guys does, and the rest of them, all they do is complain about everything, and they look for every chance to contact the EEOC or they'll even call Lee Zurich and have him come out there.
So, all right, Tony, we're about to go into the next hour. So I want to thank you for your call, man. Keep calling back. So just one final thought before we go into our break is that it's very difficult to talk about this because the targeted races that are pushed to the bottom are the ones that have a history of being the oppressee or the oppressor, rather. White European descent. People that are white skinned in nature, right? They were the people that had slaves while blacks were slaves. So it's a lose-lose for anybody that speaks out about this, and it's the political correctness that's destroying the country. So when we come back from this break, we're going to get into a little bit more of what we were talking about prior to the callers, and we'll get into some of the shenanigans of the left and their racism. Stick with us on the battlefield. We'll be right back after this short break. Battlefield Live with Chris Killier from Lanterns Radio Network, WGSO. We'll be
Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager Richard Tate.
WGSO is locally owned and operated right here in New Orleans. We believe in cultivating local talent and emphasize local programs. If you have an interest in hosting your own program, we have some prime spots available.
Thanks, Richard. Folks, take advantage of this great offer. Email me at jeff@wgso.com or call me at 504-669-6076. Come fulfill your radio dreams at WGSO.
What does grace mean to you? For Grace at the Green Light, it means everyone deserves the chance to go home again. Everyone deserves a hot meal in a clean indoor setting. Grace at the Green Light serves the homeless in New Orleans. We have served over 40,000 meals and sent over 450 men and women home to be reunited with their families. Thanks in part to the support of our sponsors: Christ Church Cathedral, Emery and James Limited, Fat Bankers Social Aid and Pleasure Club, Faubourg Private Wealth, First NBC Bank, Kushner LeGrays, McGee School, McMath Construction, Orland Berry LLC, Perrier and Lacoste, and Seiler Tucker. You can help and make a difference too. For information on donating or volunteering, call 504-239-4544, 504-239-4544, or visit graceatthegreenlight.org.
What are you doing to stop traffic when your business is ready to wow the pants off customers? Visit Sir Speedy. We produce quality signs, posters, banners, and more that are just the trick for trade shows, promotions, events, and product launches. Whether you're taking it to the street, the floor, or the counter, bigger is always better. For more information or to get a quote, go to SirSpeedyNewOrleans.com.
Your station for prep sports year-round. We are WGSO 990 AM New Orleans.
USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Stoll.
This just into the USA Radio newsroom. Rio police have charged American swimmer Ryan Lochte with filing a false robbery report stemming from the incident at the Olympic Games. Lochte initially said that he and 3 other teammates were pulled over and held up at gunpoint by individuals claiming to be police officers after leaving a party. According to Associated Press, Lochte will be informed of the charges in the U.S., and the indictment will be sent to the IOC's Ethics Division. In the wake of the incident, 4 of Lochte's sponsors, including Speedo and Ralph Lauren, dropped him. Herb Alpert of the Tijuana Brass and his wife Lonnie Hall of Sergio Mendez have awarded L.A. City College with a $10 million grant for education. This is USA Radio News.
Hey everybody, singer-songwriter Brett Watts here. If you're like me, always on the go, and don't have time to stay as healthy as we would like by eating all the right foods, well, I found an incredibly simple and easy way to get all my fruits and vegetables at once. It's called Daily Lift, L-I-F-T. It's a superfoods energy drink mix supplement that fills the gaps between what you eat and what you don't always have time to eat. This unique formula is packed with 16 plus fruits and vegetables and 59 superfoods, no MSG or GMO. It's all natural and organic, nature's best combination of antibiotics, enzymes, probiotics, and beneficial algaes in one powdered drink mix. Comes in 2 flavors, mint and berry, and both delicious. Daily Lift nutrients help balance your body's pH levels and boost your energy naturally. And it's safe for kids. So let's fire up that immune system and stay focused. Go to www.onedailylift.com. That's ONE, dailylift.com. OneDailylift.com, and let's get healthy.
There's a massive manhunt underway after 3 kids were reportedly kidnapped. They were found safe. Jason Campidonia has the details.
Officials say the 3 kids were found safe in New Mexico Wednesday. Their mother was found dead in northern Los Angeles County in the Gorman area on a desolate road last week. Officials believe the pair who took the kids have a 4th child, and they're still on the run. Authorities don't know why the couple took the children or if they're involved in the mother's death. Investigators say the couple has family in Nebraska and ties to Kansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Jason Campidonia, Los Angeles.
One of the world's biggest pharmaceutical firms is helping launch a national campaign to get new parents more aware of recommended childhood vaccinations. Pediatrician Jennifer Arnold of TV fame is helping Pfizer. She says the campaign is important.
It's not only a crucial stepping stone to help set their baby up for a healthy beginning, but, according to the CDC, helps protect others in the community against serious illnesses.
This is USA Radio News.
Geico presents Kathy, the Candid Real Estate Agent.
As
As you can see, this apartment has crown molding, and yes, that's a working fireplace. Can't you see yourself curling up with a good book? At least until a pipe bursts, and then you'll need to replace your brand new upholstered sofa. That thing will soak up water like a sponge.
It's hard to know all that comes with renting a home or apartment. That's why the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting covered for personal property loss and damage quick and easy. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
The township of Old Bridge, New Jersey will be greeting hometown hero and Olympic gold medalist Lori Hernandez Saturday afternoon. Scott Pringle has the details.
Mayor Owen Henry says the community is so proud of Lori Hernandez, who picked up a gold and silver for the U.S. in Rio.
Because of her commitment, her dedication, her hard work, she really does represent Old Bridge.
He's expecting a large turnout to see the 16-year-old gymnast as she takes part in a motorcade weaving through town, and then she's expected to say a few words at Lombardi Field.
I'd like to get her involved in some of the community, in the schools, and a lot of people want to meet her, and I think she's a great role model.
Hernandez went to elementary and middle school in Old Bridge before being homeschooled while training for the Olympics. Scott Pringle, New Jersey.
Mayor Rahm Emanuel is defending the property tax hike that's propping up the new Chicago school board budget. David Stewart reports.
The school budget includes a $250 million tax hike for teacher pensions. That will cost the average homeowner more than $200, but Mayor Emanuel said that doing nothing would be worse.
There's a cost to doing nothing. We saw that across the city, and it has a tremendous cost to the future of the city.
For homeowners, though, this tax comes on top of last year's tax hike for fire and police pensions that will eventually add about $500 to the average tax bill. And a pending water and sewer tax could add about another $100 a year to that bill. David Stewart, NBC News Radio, Chicago.
This is USA Radio News, and I'm Rod Williams Stoll.
We're here to fix the machine.
Battlefield Live. You're listening to the Battlefield Live with Chris Pioyer from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program. Want to thank you for joining us on the Battlefield today. If you have a question for me, you can call me 504-556-9696. You can also reach out to me on Facebook Live. We're on Facebook Live. You can find us at facebook.com/LanternsBuzz. Ask me any questions in the chat there. Faith's in there. She's monitoring, making sure that all's straight. And you can also reach out to me on Twitter at Paul Revere again or at Lanterns Buzz. Also, you can catch our podcast if you missed the show or missed the first hour and you want to, check it out. It's some good stuff, folks. It's like good spaghetti. I'd love to have some spaghetti right now. Just think about, I don't know what it is. I'm thinking about food at 10 o'clock at night, but you can check out our podcast, Spreaker.com or SoundCloud.com, YouTube, iTunes. We're everywhere, folks. Stitcher, Google Play, Player FM. I would imagine that we're in, as I've said before, on some sonograms, x-rays. We're everywhere. So check us out. We're talking about racism in the United States. And, there's been some punches thrown today from Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Folks, I don't know if you've seen the latest pictures of Hillary Clinton. Something is really, really askew. I think I saw her in one of, I don't know if y'all go eat Chinese food. They always wear like these, it almost looks like, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Chris, you know what I'm talking about? All the people that are in the Chinese restaurant, the servers and all, the waitresses and waiters, it's really the waitresses. They wear this iconic Chinese dress or whatever. You know what I'm talking about? No, it's not like the traditional. It's kind of like, I'm just thinking about your local. You go to your local Chinese restaurant, Five Happiness or whatever, and they have like just that. It looks like, I can't even explain what it is, but it's not like a traditional thing. It's something you see at the Chinese restaurant. Anyway, Hillary Clinton was wearing something that looked just like that when she was with Cher. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. And the first thing that came to mind when I saw her, that was Mushu pork. Just saying. Okay. What's that?
Fast Eddie. What's going on, Fast Eddie? You there, Fast Eddie? Hello? Anybody there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. I was listening to the feed and got lost. Okay. The question was about racism, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, first of all, I'm Fast Eddie, and if that was Tony G, the previous caller, he's always incorrect.
Okay.
I haven't heard from him in a while, but I don't know about racing. I pretty much associate with anybody if I like them. We got to get along with anybody. It doesn't matter whether they're white, purple, green, orange. Story I got is pretty much my parents went to Dillard University in New Orleans. My mom was a nurse. My dad was an accountant. They did okay in life, but lots of their friends that went to Dillard also, they ended up working for the post office. I guess that's what black people that went to college and that just wasn't accepted into society, even though they were college educated, they weren't idiots or anything. They couldn't get the same job that a white guy could get.
Okay.
So they ended up working for the post office, sent their kids to good schools and all that. So I wonder what they thought in that they got an education pretty much in whatever field that they wanted. There was just not an opportunity for them there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know, what do you call that, racism, or what do you call it? When you make an even playing field that if somebody's just as capable as the next guy, but they turned down because of their skin color.
So, Fast Eddie, let me ask you this question, because you're bringing up some good points here. Okay. First and foremost, let me make this statement. I have always believed, and I've never made the statement to the effect that racism doesn't exist. I do believe it exists. My point is that the premise that racism is built is incorrect, because there's no difference between, if you're an African American, there's no difference between you and me other than the fact that our melanin and our skin is different. And my point has always been is that people look at each other and they try to find differences for a lot of reasons. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Racists, people that identify the differences in somebody else by the way they look, their skin color, the way their facial structure is, whatever it may be, that is the bad determination of differences. So this is my question to you, because one of the things, and I think you could agree with me, and tell me if I'm wrong, Fast Eddie. I think you and I can both agree that right now racial tensions in this country are probably worse than it's been at least since the 60s. Would you agree?
Right, I have to agree with that, but I think it's based on more that people aren't willing to listen to the other guy's thoughts.
I don't disagree with you at all there.
Hey, Black Lives Matter. The way I interpret Black Lives Matter is that pretty much tired of cops killing black kids, being judge, jury, all of that, and getting away with it. A cop's job is to arrest somebody, not to shoot them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you there.
They've been. Everybody says Black Lives Matter are militant and they're causing all kinds of trouble. All they're trying to do is stand up for your life.
All right, so let me ask you this. So the premise is from Black Lives Matter, okay? And I've done a lot of radio talk on Black Lives Matter. So the bottom line is Black Lives Matter's claim is that our justice system has systemic racism. In other words, it has racism through and throughout the entire system. That's what systemic means. And that is their words, not mine. So
I would agree with that.
So would you agree that and I'm not saying I agree, but would you say that our entire system throughout is built on a platform of racism?
Pretty much so, yes.
All right, so where would you point to the racism? It is a systemic issue now, okay? I'm not talking about a one-off here and a one-off there, because I do believe there's instances where people, white police officers shoot a black kid because they're more afraid of him than a white kid, and there's a issue there. I'm not saying that doesn't ever happen, but what I'm saying is systemic means that it's everywhere. So it's in every police department. It's in from the White House on down, right? So
keep going.
So my question is, if it's systemic, as the Black Lives Matter says it's systemic, then why is it that Barack Obama hasn't fixed it? Because he is the boss, quote unquote, of the executive branch. He is the leader of that group. Does that make sense?
That's funny. When Barack Obama was elected president, most of the congressmen, most of the Republicans said they'd like to see this country fail as opposed to support any of his agenda.
I don't know that that's the case.
Do you remember this? So what I see is pretty much he's got to fight Republicans in just mainstream America for anything that he wants. He was lucky enough to get what's been termed Obamacare, which is, how did it pick up his name when it was pretty much a package?
Well,
how did his name become associated with health care to start off with?
First of all, he's himself said that he's okay with the fact that it's being called Obamacare because he wants to be related to the success of the policy. But look, I don't want to get too far off thing here. I want to address what you just said about that Republicans wanted the country to fail. And the basis for that is incorrect. And we got 1 minute. I want to hold you over, Fast Eddie, because I got some. This is a good conversation we're having here. But the premise of the conversation. What's that?
I think both of our races interpret things different.
And it's possible. So I tell you what, hold on through the break, Fast Eddie, if you don't mind. Let's continue our dialogue here. I think we got some ground to break here. So stick with us on the battlefield, folks. We'll be right back after this short break.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great drink specials throughout the week. Monday, $6.25 large daiquiris. On Tuesday, $1.75 domestic draft. Wednesday, $3 small daiquiris. On Thursday, $1 off all imports and craft beers. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean, this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Thank you for sticking with me on the battlefield, folks. We're talking about racism in America, and we're trying to understand each other. I got Fast Eddie. You still there, Fast Eddie?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Awesome. Okay, so I want to dig in a little bit here, and so the issue that I have is the fact that there's systemic racism, and that's the claim by Black Lives Matter. Okay, so systemic would mean that it's all throughout the system, but yet some of the two of the highest officials in the government of the systemic racist system are Black Americans, right? Many mayors in this country are Black. Many governors in this country are Black. Many officials in city halls are Black. So I'm trying to understand the claim that Black Lives Matters is saying that we have a systemic racist problem. For instance, Baltimore. You familiar what happened with Baltimore with Freddie Gray, right?
Right.
Okay, so Freddie Gray had died in police custody, and the claim was that this was systemic racism and Black Lives Matter came out, but half of the people involved were Black. So how is it that the people that were protesting that ignored the fact that there were Black individuals that were prosecuted or indicted, I should say, and all of them got a pass, by the way, but the narrative still went along as if it was a racist issue. Is there a way you can explain the systemic racism that I don't think exists, that's being fabricated?
Well, I think you probably wouldn't think it exists. Let's look at another case. Look at Danziger Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Eric Holder was brought down here because that situation, it looked to me that the retarded guy that got shot on the bridge, his brother was a dentist, and he personally approached the White House, and they sent Holder down, and cops were prosecuted for that, but then it seems like the case was lost because of a district, the federal prosecutor screwed it up by email and messages or something.
Mm-hmm.
And their time was lengthened, so it seems like justice still wasn't done, whether it's a Black figurehead or white figurehead or whatever. It seemed like justice just isn't being done. You could say, well, the president's Black, so why he's not doing anything? Seems like he attempted to do something, and it didn't work. And I think many cases it doesn't work with Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the specifics about the case. I only know what I hear on television and radio. I wasn't privy to be at the trial and get all the information. I don't know anybody that would have been unless they were actually at the trial every day.
Let me ask you another.
So we listen to that information that we don't really know whether it's fact or not.
I don't disagree with you, and I think that there's a lot of people that try to project their own experiences on a case that is being watched on television, and at some point we do have to realize that our justice system is not perfect, and but it's the most perfect in the world. It is one of the most revered, and so we could probably talk about that at the. I got one more question for you, Fast Eddie, before I let you go. Do you think that the environment that an individual grows up in, do you think that environment is what defines a person? Or do you believe that it's the spirit of the individual and what they attach themselves to spiritually is what defines the person?
What you attach yourself to spiritually, but that's a two-part question. I think the way I was brought up pretty much influenced my life, but I've always been a free thinker. That's you could split that question in half and go either way.
All right, so let me ask it another way. Is it possible for a young Black boy to grow up in a housing project or what some would call a ghetto, and would he be able to grow up with the same opportunities as a kid that grows up, let's say in a middle class neighborhood and goes to a public school with mixed race, white and Black? Do you think they have the same opportunity?
No, I think the Black kid would be at a disadvantage.
Would it just be that they're starting a lower rung on the ladder, if you will?
Yeah, but then some people can filter out right and wrong just in their own mind. They can make they can take a bad situation and make it good for themselves, only because they believe that things should be different.
Right.
I've met people like that that pretty much felt that, even though all other kids doing this other stuff, they're not doing it because they see, and they're not even exposed to anything outside of their own environment. They just, in their heart and mind, they know there should be something different.
Right.
That's hard to explain, but not every kid from the ghetto is going to fail because he's in that environment. He can see better. It's just like I always wonder why people pretty much operate the way they do. It doesn't make sense. Lots of things people do. Call it racism, all this other stuff. There's a right and a wrong, and you should operate along those lines, but people just don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Fast Eddie, I want first and foremost, I want to tell you that I appreciate your call, and I want you to call me again because to me, these are the type of sensible conversations that have to take place between people that have been identified. And I say that have been identified. I think people have put us in two different boxes, and they want to keep us that way in order for us to separate the power of the people. And I think that you and I, along with others out there, if we just simply reach out to each other and we understand each other, and like you said, with open mind, that we'll make this country great again. Would you agree?
Right. It doesn't make sense to call with name calls and all that kind of stuff. There's no room for conversation with that. You know what I mean? If people would just, like the guy Tony, I believe he's an old buddy of mine. We used to call him Tony G. Psycho, and that's what inspired me to call.
Yeah.
So if that's him, I'm just saying, hey, nice talking to you.
All right, Fast Eddie, thank you for calling. Call me again.
Bye-bye.
So folks, that's the kind of conversations we have to have. And look, Fast Eddie may have some opinions that he may not be able to convince me to change my mind, and I may not be able to convince him to change his mind. But at the end of the day, it's the conversations that work us in the right direction. Because if Fast Eddie and I talk enough and we agree to put some of our differences aside, at some point we come back to a conclusion that we're not all that different. And I would say that most of what Fast Eddie was saying is I agree with. In fact, I was very surprised because I find that a lot of the people that I've talked to, and this is anecdotal, because Eddie can align himself, or actually he can sympathize with the Black Lives Matter group differently than I can, and most likely it's because of his experiences. But he made a great point about how the fact that it's not it's the spiritual side, not the material side, that really makes the individual. And I think, folks, that is where the true nugget of truth is. That is where we make change in this country. That's where people like Fast Eddie and I come together and say, you know what? We're going to lock our arms together like Martin Luther King did and the people that were with him, and we're going to walk through the streets and we're going to make change. And to me, that's how we do it. But one of the things that we have to do is understand the forces at power that try to divide us. We have to understand the history of our country. We have to understand the history of these movements that are here in the country. We do have to recognize the truths. We can't deny the fact that there are injustices that are taking place in this country. But we also have to take into perspective that there's certain people that have certain influences and backgrounds and experiences in their life that the way that they look at this is really skewed. My whole point of this conversation tonight, being a registered Republican, a guy that most likely will probably vote for Donald Trump, is willing to, out the gate of the radio program, to criticize people that are aligned with Donald Trump, the guy that I might vote for, because of their possible, racist tendencies. Okay? The bottom line is that I'm going to do that again on the other side of the aisle. I promise you I would do it. I've actually spent a lot more time on the right. Now we're going to go to the left. So stick with us on the Battlefield Live radio program. We'll be right back after the short break. You're listening to Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network and WGSO 990. We'll be right back.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drink, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. That's right, 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has great food for lunch or dinner. You have to try their mouth-watering, appetite-satisfying 8-ounce brisket burger cooked to your liking. Another favorite at DBC is their Wednesday night steak night. You get a 14-ounce ribeye with a side of garlic and mashed potatoes, green beans, and garlic bread for $15. On Thursday night, you can't go wrong with their 8-ounce hamburger steak, smothered in gravy and grilled onions with a side of garlic, mashed potatoes, peas, and garlic bread for $9.95. You can check out the rest of their menu online at dbcbarandgrill.com.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. Vastvirtual.com.
5 USA Radio News with Rod Williams-Stoll.
This just into the USA Radio newsroom. Rio police have charged American swimmer Ryan Lochte with filing a false robbery report stemming from the incident at the Olympic Games. Lochte initially said that he and 3 other teammates were pulled over and held up at gunpoint by individuals claiming to be police officers after leaving a party. According to Associated Press, Lochte will be informed of the charges in the U.S., and the indictment will be sent to the IOC's Ethics Division. In the wake of the incident, 4 of Lochte's sponsors, including Speedo and Ralph Lauren, dropped him. Herb Alpert of the Tijuana Brass and his wife Lonnie Hall of Sergio Mendez have awarded L.A. City College with a $10 million grant for education. This is USA Radio News.
Hey everybody, singer-songwriter Brett Watts here. If you're like me, always on the go, and don't have time to stay as healthy as we would like by eating all the right foods, well, I found an incredibly simple and easy way to get all my fruits and vegetables at once. It's called Daily Lift, L-I-F-T. It's a superfoods energy drink mix supplement that fills the gaps between what you eat and what you don't always have time to eat. This unique formula is packed with 16 plus fruits and vegetables and 59 superfoods, no MSG or GMO. It's all natural and organic, nature's best combination of antibiotics, enzymes, probiotics, and beneficial allergies in one powdered drink mix. Comes in 2 flavors, mint and berry, and both delicious. Daily Lift nutrients help balance your body's pH levels and boost your energy naturally. And it's safe for kids. So let's fire up that immune system and stay focused. Go to www.onedailylift.com. That's ONE, dailylift.com. OneDailyLift.com, and let's get healthy.
This is Jeff Cruier with my commentary of the day. So college campuses today are a politically correct mess. The State University of New York at Binghamton is now providing workshops and training on how to, quote, stop white people. The aim with supposed white privilege and white racism and white advantages. So instead of teaching students tolerance, we're teaching hate and envy. This is what is going on in our college campuses today. At Princeton, they've declared war on the word man. So freshmen, no longer politically correct. All gender-specific language will be eliminated. It's our new transgender politically correct world. At Vanderbilt University, they're going after the Confederate Memorial Hall and removing that name because it's, quote, offensive. And the beat goes on. I guess at some point after spending $70,000, maybe these parents will start demanding that their children receive a real education. More info on this and the other hot topics of the day, check out ringsidepolitics.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally
gyroscope.
fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show. Thank you for sticking with me on the Battlefield. Chris Pilier, Lanterns Radio Network, Battlefield Live radio program, WGSO 990 AM. Folks, if you want to follow us, you can follow us on Twitter at Paul Revere again. Facebook, we're streaming live right now. You have some questions, you can chat me in the chat room. And you can find that at facebook.com/lanternsbuzz. We're going to go to the phones again. We got Rusty. What's going on, Rusty?
Hi, Chris. Chris, I don't quite understand your concept of not believing there's no such thing as race. But, but let me go on to the main point. You said yesterday, the day before, that normally you don't get into the scriptures and you don't quote scriptures, but in one case you said you quoted about the Tower of Babel.
Right,
and
that was yesterday.
That was a unique story worth mentioning. And it seemed to me that part of the point of that story is that people were trying to come together and leaving God out of the picture.
That's right.
And my point is this: I think this country's doomed.
Okay.
Because they have all these different kinds of people. And with all these people coming together with all their differences, they're not going to be able to resolve them without God's grace.
I would agree with you.
And I see destruction. It may not happen this year or this decade or even the following decade, but they're going to find themselves unable to deal with the different varieties of people who have different feelings, different emotions, different attitudes, different histories, and then find themselves at one another's throat because they've left out the key component to make this stuff work.
So how does
I know
that?
in the New Testament it says there's neither barbarian, no Scythian, no Greek, nor Jew, and those things. It says neither male nor female, but all are one in Christ. Right. And this country that came together had that key element in it that made it work. Now they're trying to get rid of it, and it seems to me that they're only going to find destruction because they don't have it inside themselves. Everyone is just too damn selfish to care about another person. They may be using it now for political reasons, but they're too selfish to make it work without the intervention and the aid of God.
So let me ask you, how does that correlate to in the discussion of race?
Well, I'm just trying to find out what you were saying about race, because it seems to me it's obvious, from the Bible anyway, that God created the nations. It says that in the book of Acts.
Right.
And so on. I remember you having a discussion on one of your earlier shows with Trey on this. And I think Trey and you were at opposite sides of the fence. And I'm not trying to make a big thing of that.
No.
But it's obvious to me there are races and there are nations. And I would have not known it. I never would have said it myself. But when I read the New Testament, it says God helped create these nations. And I think the word race, and I'm only guessing at this, and you can tell me what you think about this, but I think the word race means in a lot of ways development. Like in some area, we think of third world countries and second world countries and first world countries, and the race probably meant a race like in the sense that you're having a race like a marathon. Each group or each nation is being developed. So I can't say that's not true. I see that there is race, not just merely by color, but by culture, but by just different things. Even though like the Irish and the English live only a few miles from one another, they're very different kinds of people, and they develop differently through their history, and so there's a sort of competitiveness. There's a sort of, well, to use the word again, race between them, just like there are other groups of people that have been racing. I just feel like there is such a thing as race. It does exist, but the only thing that can keep the races from really destroying one another is the intervention of God. And I think this country is going to find out that its ego is too inflated to think it can do anything, like the people in the Tower of Babel. They think they can create any kind of society and leave God out and have all these different components and different kinds of people and think they can make it all work without God. And I think eventually, maybe not, like I said, maybe not even the next decade or two, but eventually it's all going to fall in on us.
Right.
So,
well, Rusty,
I know you quoted that story a couple nights ago, so regarding Tower of Babel, and I thought that was one of the ideas that you yourself had.
Yeah, so let me build. Russ, I appreciate you call. I'm going to build on what you just mentioned there. I'm going to try to roll out with the rest of the show with this premise here. First and foremost, that it's the thought experiment that we're playing around with tonight is very, very interesting, because this is something that I've been fascinated with, because while racism is one of the biggest things that we talk about in this country, in most cases it's because it's brought to the forefront when it's not even relative to what the discussion about whatever it is being talked about. And one of the biggest reasons why it's such a divisive issue is because, just as Rusty said, it's hard to explain. It's hard to define. What is race? Scientifically, you can't say it's really race. There's a race out there because we can't find genetic markers that determine what race we are. We can look at physical features and say, well, he's got dark skin, or he's got cheekbones that are high. He looks like he's Asian. He's got smaller eyes. He's whatever the features are the way that people are divided. Folks, this is in our nature. And this is a little bit personal, but most of the girls that I've dated my entire life have been blonde hair girls. I'm attracted to blondes. I don't know. I didn't marry a blonde, and I'm not in love with a blonde. It's very strange how the physical features and the way that we're attracted to other people and the way that we determine differences, all of these things are material in nature. And what Rusty's talking about is that we have to focus on the spiritual. This is a common theme on this program. Now, I want to back up a little bit, and I want to explain why race is really an issue. Race is an issue because exactly what Rusty just said. He made an excellent point about it is a race. Okay? In other words, certain groups are trying to pass up other groups. Now, we talk about the social constructs. Race is a very, very broad definition of a social construct. It's really a cultural thing. Okay? So when you're dealing with cultures, let's talk, for instance, about, say, the black culture. Is there a black culture out there? Well, sure there is. You can see there's black music, there's black cuisine, there's urban clothes that people wear. So there's this whole culture of what's going on in black communities. There's culture that goes on in Hispanic communities. There's cultures that go on in Asian communities. All these different cultures, they're different from each other. And people embrace their culture. They're proud of their culture. And there's some people out there that look at those cultures and say, that's primitive. That's not where it needs to be. That's old school, or it's tribal in nature. While I agree that we should respect other cultures, but we should also understand how American culture brings all those things together. But it doesn't bring it together on what kind of clothes we wear, what color skin we have, what kind of food we eat. That's not American culture. American culture is about what we believe. And what's happening, and what Rusty's talking about, and I'm not trying to speak for Rusty, I'm trying to build on what he's talked about. What I believe Rusty was saying is that we're not focusing on what we believe, we're focusing on stuff. We're focusing on things. We're focusing on the way people look. We're focusing on what color lipstick that the women wear. We're focused on the size butt that Kardashians have, the boobs that they have. We're focusing on all these things that are material in nature, and we're trying to say that these are things that make people great. And it's not that. It's what's inside. So when we talk about Black Lives Matter, when we talk about Occupy Wall Street, all these little subcultures that are intended to represent some oppressed part of our culture, that is part of racism, because those groups believe that they're behind in the race and they deserve to be further up in the race for whatever that reason may be. That is racism. When you look through things in the prism of race, you are operating within a racist dialectic. Okay? Big word. All it means is you're looking at things through the prism of race. What we have to do is ignore all that. That's all static. That's all static that was put in place in order for us to divide each other. I'm going to explain briefly where this comes from and the solutions that we have in order to get out of it. So stick with us on the battlefield, folks. You're listening to Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network at lanterns.buzz, the website. We'll be right back after the short break on WGSO 990 AM in New Orleans.
Check out DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops. Don't miss out on their happy hour, Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. You get $2 domestic bottles, $1.75 domestic draft, 2-for-1 well drinks, $3 small daiquiris, and $3 wine. On Friday, happy hour starts at 11 a.m. till the sun goes down. DBC also has everything you need to make it your fantasy football headquarters, with 13 big screen TVs, the Sunday NFL package, and ESPN game plan. You won't miss a down. DBC wants you to have your fantasy draft party here. Just call 504-838-2282, 504-838-2282 to book your draft now. DBC Bar and Grill, 1001 Veterans Memorial Boulevard, Metairie, Louisiana. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till the party stops.
Millions of people are asking the question, what has happened to America? Is there hope? What will our children and grandchildren face in years to come? America, there is hope. The same hope expressed by the colonists in 1607 when they placed a cross on the Virginia shore, proclaiming, "In God we trust." In God we trust. It's still our hope. It's our future. It's our national motto. Go to ingodwetrust.com and get your hope today.
Did you ever think that the presumptive Republican nominee for President of the United States would have similar policy and, suggestions as the Democratic Socialist candidate?
I never thought that a Republican candidate for president would hold both liberal and conservative policies at the same time.
Right.
I mean,
like
this is totally fascinating. Visit the website battlefield.buzz for the latest from Chris and Trey from the Battlefield Live radio show.
Are you looking for a reasonable and affordable way to enhance your image or your company's image on the internet? Are you looking for ways to leverage internet technology to streamline your business? An upgraded website or web application is the way to go. Vast Virtual Solutions is a technology company that specializes in developing websites that operate on the cutting edge with the ability to save you and your business time and money. Visit vastvirtual.com for a business quote today. vastvirtual.com.
Experience Augie's, formerly Augie's Glass Garden, now in Harahan. Augie's, truly a gorgeous place. Where can you go to experience super jumbo soft-shell crabs for only $14.95 and the area's largest seafood platters? Private parties, receptions, reunions, and events of all types can be handled at Augie's. 6005 Jefferson Highway in Harahan. Call for reservations 733-3000. Check us out on the web, augiesnola.com.
Battlefield Live. Chris Pilier from Lanterns Radio Network, the Battlefield Live radio program, WGSO 990 AM. I hope you're enjoying the show, folks. And please reach out to us on Facebook at facebook.com/lanternsbuzz. Let us know what you think. Also, you can email me at lanterns.buzz@gmail.com. You can also, if you want to reach out to us on Twitter, you can find me at Paul Revere again, as well as at Lanterns Buzz on Twitter. You can find our website, lanterns.buzz, has a ton of information, folks. This show, actually, believe it or not, I haven't used a whole lot of articles like I normally do, but I archive all the articles that I do talk about. Most of what I've done here is I've studied for a very long time, and I write these outlines. And so I formulate all these ideas in my mind. I put these outlines together, and then I could speak across the outline. And that's a little inside story. But so what I want to do is I want to get a little deeper in the conversation here, and I want you to stick with me because this is really, really, really important. When we peel back the layers, that's what we do on this program. We start off with an onion, and we peel back a layer, and we get down to the core of that onion. Right? Sometimes it tastes like crap, but we got to get down to it. And sometimes a little tough, and then talk about things that are a little deep. But I know all of you are smart enough, and you can stick with me. And look, I'm looking to be educated too. So if you have some questions or you got some feedback, I don't know if I'll have enough time to take another call tonight because I want to get to the end of this. But you can definitely email me at lanterns.buzz@gmail.com. Or reach out to us on any of our social media. So check this out. Karl Marx, I'm fascinated with Karl Marx. I don't believe much of what he believed, but I'm fascinated with him because he was well thought out, and the way that he tried to put things together was through the prism of philosophy, through the prism of science, and through the prism of culture and sociology. Okay, and sociology wasn't a term at that point being used, but basically his beliefs were in sociology and how cultures operated. Also, he believed truly, and he was heavily influenced by Charles Darwin and The Origin of Species, and he believed that there was the ability for races and different cultures to be able to progress. All right, so let's start there. So one of the things that Karl Marx believed in was something called materialism, okay? And you've heard this before. Like people, you say you're materialistic. Being materialistic is being preoccupied with or overemphasizing material objects, comforts, considerations, a disinterest in a rejection of the spiritual, the intellectual, and the cultural values. So when you hear me say the material, I'm saying that the problem we have is we're focusing too much on what is not American. We're not focusing on the spiritual. And I'm not simply saying you got to go to church. That ain't just going to fix it. We got to going to church is great. You're going to learn a lot there and you're going to be on the right path, but you have to carry that out. If you're a Christian, you know that you have to witness, right? That's how you change the culture. Going to church isn't enough. Okay? So the point is that we have to affect the culture and we have to bring back the culture away from this materialism. Now, what Marx did is he took materialism. He took the idea that there was nothing in the spiritual, that the spiritual was made up by man because we were unhappy with ourselves. So we created this figment of our imagination called God, and we worshiped him so we would ignore our miserable material world. That's what Karl Marx believed. It's sick, but that's what he believed. Okay? And what he did was he combined that. He took that materialist philosophy and he combined it with a dialectic process. Now, let me explain dialectics. It's not that difficult to understand. In fact, you participate in dialectics every day. And dialectics didn't start with Marx, or it didn't even start with Hegel, who was the guy that heavily influenced Marx. It was actually started by Aristotle and Socrates. It is a form of debate. So when you're talking with someone and you don't agree with them and you were working out the issue and you're trying to come to a conclusion, that's a form of a dialectic, okay? So remember that word. Make it to where it's not – it's a scary word if you've never heard it before, but it's very simple and we deal with it all the time. Okay, so we have the dialectic. Well, the dialectic, there's parts and pieces of this dialectic, okay? You have – and you see in movies, you see the good guy and the bad guy, right? How many movies nowadays do you really have a good guy and a bad guy? It used to be like Superman and a bad guy, Batman and a bad guy. That was the old way. That was kind of the American way. Now, everything's confused because you don't have a good guy per se. You have a good guy that has all these problems. It's like a cop, and he's a hero, but yet he's a drunk. He's divorced. It's like his whole world is falling apart, but yet he's still able to pull it out. So it's all this kind of twisted, and it's entertaining by all means. Like Die Hard is what I'm talking about, right? That's a cool movie. Like the first Die Hard was great, but the thing is it's not a ideal situation, right? So how does this relate to dialectics? A dialectics is when you have one point of view and an opposite point of view, and those two point of views are discussed in a debate, and from that comes a result or a solution. Hegel called it a synthesis. So you got an antithesis, a thesis, and those things create what they call a synthesis. Okay, stick with me. So the point is that what Hegel believed, George Friedrich Hegel, what he believed is that there is no absolute truth, which basically means there's no God, right? Because, Christians and believe that God is absolute, that he is the truth and the light, right? So there is no absolute in the mind of somebody of Eastern culture that buys into Marxism and things like that. That's why communists don't believe in God. That's why they're atheistic. It's because it goes against their fundamental principles. Okay, so, and we're running out of time here, so I have to speed up. So the point is that class warfare, defining classes, defining races, and things like that, the intention of doing that is to get us to fight each other in order for us to progress. So the antagonists like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, all these different people, and you're starting to see it from the right, you're starting to see it from people like Donald Trump, is they're trying to get us to fight, and they're doing it intentionally or unintentionally, and they believe that if we fight enough that we will progress into a more higher advanced form of civilization. But the purpose of fighting is for us to be able to point out our weaknesses and our inequalities in order for us to be able to be equalized by the people in power. And that may sound kind of crazy and out there, but this has been in place in this country for almost 100 years now. Affirmative action is a form of this. You make blacks upset with whites, and whites will eventually say, all right, they got a point there. We're going to go ahead and give them stuff. And what happens is that they then focus on the material. And what happens is it just destroys the culture. I'm not saying that all of black culture is destroyed because of welfare, but a good portion of it is because people are focused on material items rather than the spiritual. That was the reason for my question, Fast Eddie. Is it that we can persevere outside of our material realm? And that's where the answer is, folks. We got to get out of the material. We got to focus on the spiritual. And that means the intellectual. That means finding the truth about things. We have to seek the truth. We have to illuminate it when we find it. And we have to share it. That's where the answer is, folks. I'm telling you, if we can do that, we change the country forever. Thank you for joining me on the Battlefield Live, folks. If you like the program, it'll be on a podcast tomorrow and Spreaker.com, SoundCloud, YouTube, Stitcher, iTunes, a whole bunch of other places. Of course, you can go to lanterns.buzz and find it there as well. Thank you for joining me on the Battlefield. Tweet me at Paul Revere again and find me on Facebook at Lanterns Buzz. We'll be back next time.
Jeff Crouere, host of Ringside Politics. I'd like to introduce WGSO General Manager